Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Off Track TV Live. Along with Dan Kapazinski, I'm the voice Shane Andrews, where both Dan and I are coming from the cozy confines of our respective homes here tonight as we are still practicing our social distancing among this COVID-19 pandemic. Well, you've already seen my smiling face. Good evening, Dan. How are you tonight?
Shane, I don't know if it's comfy confines for me here in the Capper Speed Shop. It's a little cold out here. I'm bundled up, but we're doing our best and glad to be with everybody here today. Good to see you again as well, Shane, and get everybody up to date on some things that have been going on here lately.
Absolutely glad to see you, my friend, and I hope that you, Liz, and Michael are happy and healthy up there at home, and all your family, and best wishes to everybody up in your neck of the woods.
Well, thanks, Shane. You too. We've been keeping as busy as we can here in Fulton. I'm actually just down the road from Fulton Speedway, and it pains me to drive by there nearly every single day and know that we're a little bit further away from the racing season than we would like to be, obviously. Still waiting, for more information as the month of April gets through to see where we're going to be. Obviously, we missed a race already for the Super Dirt Car Series at Can-Am Speedway, but we're all holding tight. So
absolutely, and a belated happy Easter to everybody as we're coming to you live, obviously, here tonight. And Dan, you mentioned we already missed one race with the Super Dirt Series, and we're going to talk a little bit about that with one of our special guests, Dean Reynolds, here with us tonight. But we do want to remind everybody, we do want to hear from you great race fans out there. If you've got a question or something you want us to chat about here tonight, give us a shout. You can find us at info@weedsportproductions.com, or you can go to Facebook Live and leave us a message there. Artwork and Brett Moses behind the scenes, they'll make sure that we get your questions, thoughts, and anything you might want to talk about. So give us a shout here tonight.
Yeah, there's certainly been a lot going on, a lot of different things in the racing world. And of course, we're going to have Matt Williamson and Dean Reynolds on here just a little bit later in the show. So if you have questions for them, be sure to get those down in the inbox. And Brett and Art will make sure to relay those to us so we can ask those guys what's going on.
So Dan, my big question to you, my friend, is what have you been doing to keep busy amongst this pandemic? And everybody's been under wraps and doing their social distancing and staying at home. What have you and the family been up to?
Well, I'm fortunate. My day-to-day job is in Oswego at the Compass Federal Credit Union, so I do a lot of marketing work for them. So we are considered obviously essential on the list of many businesses. So I've been going to work every day, a little bit shorter hours than usual. My wife's been at home with Michael doing as much work as she can from here. So that, obviously presents a little bit of a challenge here and there for her, but we're doing the best we can on that. The last time we talked, I had given everybody a tour of the race shop. The go-kart was totally apart, nothing on it. Now, in a matter of 2 weeks, it's completely together, body mounted, seat mounted, everything but the engine. So I've really been doing quite a bit on that to keep me busy and, with the watchful eye on things to hopefully be going racing sometime soon.
Absolutely. Can't wait to get everybody out and about and back to some normality, if you will. I'm fortunate enough with my job, my company that I work for is a fuel company that we are considered an essential business. So I have the luxury of being able to work from home. And I've been quite busy with that. And in my spare time, Dan, I have fallen into the iRacing trap. It's addicting.
Yeah, we were talking about it just a little bit. Shane and I were before we came on today, how addicting it is exactly. I got into it a few years ago and we kid now. I tell everybody I'm married now, so I cannot do the iRacing thing. I would be totally sucked in again to the point where that competitive edge in me, it would be all I could think about. But you're not only doing the racing, but you've been doing some announcing as well. The lockdown series that they're having with the Sprint Cars and Dirt Track Digest is seeming to be going pretty well.
Yeah, last week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Mike Mallet and I did the Lockdown Showdown, 3 nights of racing from the virtual Knoxville Raceway, 3 nights of that, and it was a lot of fun. Oh, had an absolute blast with it. Going to be doing it again in a couple of weeks, and look forward to announcing that. A lot of it's difficult. It really was to get a grip on it. I can announce a race. Don't get me wrong, but boy, it was tough on the simulator and the virtual reality. But it was a lot of fun. It was a challenge that I enjoyed and look forward to doing it again.
That was actually a question I was going to have for you, is what was it like from a virtual sense to try to find a way to call a race like that? It had to have been challenging.
It is challenging. It's you're watching a monitor, so it's no different than when we do the TV shows. You're watching a monitor and you talk about what's in front of you, not what you think's happening or what's going on, because you're limited on what you can see. But switching up the camera angles, switching up the views that you get to see, not only of the racers but also from their perspective of what they're doing as well. It was tough, but man, it was a lot of fun, and boy, I had a blast. And I couldn't wait to call a race, and I can't wait to do the next sim racing action, but I'm really jonesing to get outside and see a big block modified at full throat cranking around central New York.
Yeah, no kidding. But you know what? Thank goodness for the virtual racing that we've had. I've been watching as much of it as I can online and on television. It's just a great way to bridge the gap in this time, where we're trying to get everybody as much racing coverage as we can get. And talk about a neat way to get the fans involved with the racers. I mean, you've got guys that have been watching racing their whole lives, and they're gamers now, being able to compete, with the likes of these World of Outlaws sprint car drivers, Super Dirt Car Series drivers. What an interesting way to kind of bring everybody together.
It sure is, and it gives everybody a chance to get their racing fix and give everybody something to do while they stay safe, of course. Dan, of course, we want to remind everybody, make sure you get us some questions, some thoughts, something you want Dan and I to touch base on, but we've got to take our first pause for the evening. When we come back, we are going to have a very special guest. As a matter of fact, he is known as the defending Big Block Modified Super Dirt Car Series champion. Matt Williamson will be joining us when we return here on Off Track TV Live.
Weedsport Speedway is home of the fastest cars and biggest stars. With over $1 million in recent upgrades, our fans know this is the premier race destination in the Northeast. The fan experience is at the forefront of everything we do. LED light shows, luxury suites, premium stadium seating, and a 27-foot HD video display to engage and entertain fans. And by the way, our fans, our fans kick ass. They are committed and loyal. They bring their families to races. They consistently engage with us over social media, on our website, and tune into our incredible productions airing on national TV and streaming online. This year features an exciting season of events. It's a blast to go fast. Want to talk to a growing audience and next-generation fans? Customized sponsorship opportunities make it super easy. We have event sponsorships, product sponsorships, digital billboards, web, social, digital ads, race day displays and signage, booths and promotions. Video opportunities both in venue, on national TV, and streaming online. The drivers, the excitement, the speed. The Port Burgers are why fans show up. At Weedsport Speedway, our venue and production are the reason they keep coming back. Be a part of the best season yet.
Welcome back to Off Track TV Live. Along with Dan Kapazinski, I'm Shane Andrews, and joining us live via his race shop in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. The only thing he didn't win last year was the Mega Millions, but man, if he had 6 numbers, he probably would have won that too. Matt Williamson, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Shane. Thanks for having me on. This is a pretty cool way to do it. I've never done this before.
Yeah, Matt, we really appreciate you joining us today. I got to tell you, quite a season last year. Like Shane said, won just about everything but the lottery. But we're kind of getting ourselves up to speed a little bit ago. What we have going on right now, what's been keeping you busy during this downtime that we've been having, unfortunately?
The race shop behind me, it's been cleaned with like a toothbrush. running out of things to do. Just trying to get ahead of it. Usually it's right from Florida. You go snowmobiling a couple times, and that's right into race season. And we've had a lot of downtime, so got caught up on projects that we've been putting off. And like I said, clean the shop, clean the trailer, and right now we're running out of things to do, so kind of going stir crazy, but we're making the best of it.
As we look at your race shop, we see the familiar Matt Williamson number 6 car. For those that may not understand, the Buzz Chew 88 cars are kept in Old Forge, New York. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, I was just talking to Spot up there in Old Forge. Hopefully, if this deal kind of slows down a little bit, we can get up there to work on them. But yeah, my own 2 cars, they're kept in St. Catharines here, right at my parents' house. The Old Forge is the Buzz Chew cars, and then Jeff Barrett and the Coco teams. Those are also in New York State. Jeff's in Florida, New York, down near New York City, and Coco is over near Ransomville.
Well, Matt, last year, obviously the first year driving for the Buzz Chew team, following the Super Dirt Car Series full time, couldn't have asked for a better first season with those guys. Talk about what it's been like to get paired up with that group.
It's a pleasure. Those guys are great, fun to work with. Buzz is a riot when he comes to the racetrack. He's a riot to be around, and everybody's just gelled together so well that it makes it easy on my end to just get in the car and drive. So it's been a pleasure to drive for him, and really we've got so many great car owners and great supporters that my job's pretty easy.
2019, you picked up $100,000 down at Orange County Fair Speedway. You won the Billy Whitaker 200 at Super Dirt Week up to Oswego. You're the 2019 Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modified Champion. How do you top a season like that this year with everything that you did last year?
That's going to be tough. We had a good year last year, and just to get more wins would be cool. I don't know if we're ever going to win that many prestigious races or money races per se, but we're going to try and win as many as we did last year, maybe a couple more. And I think we've got the momentum, with Florida, depending on how many races get canceled because of the whole disease thing going around. But with Florida, we started off well. We were 2 wins into the season before April, and we'll just keep our head up and try and keep that momentum going.
Well, I was going to ask you, Matt, how important is it to get a fast start off of Volusia, but now we're kind of sitting here waiting to wait to see what's going on. But I'm sure it obviously feels good to carry that momentum from last year into at least the beginning of this year.
Yeah. It's nice to get the start in Florida that we had. Obviously last year it was opposite to what we had this year. So to get a couple wins down there was pretty awesome. We wish we would have got a couple at All Tech. We were close, but we can't complain about the way we ran down in the Southern State, and we're looking forward to getting the momentum going up here.
Well, Matt, we know the situation. Dan and I obviously know the situation here in New York State and the United States with what is going on and the restrictions that have been placed on us on this side of the border. Can you give us an update, or what are some of the restrictions that you and the Canadians are facing with this pandemic?
It's pretty similar. Probably not to the size that New York State's going through right now, but very similar. We've been told to social distance and stay home, and try and do our part to make sure everybody stays safe. And we've been trying. I mean, it's getting tough now. Feels like you're in prison now. Running out of stuff to watch on Netflix and things to do in the garage, and that's going to be tough in the next couple of weeks if this deal keeps going on. But just got to keep your head up through the whole deal and try and make the best of it.
Well, we've already had, it looks like, a couple of fans chime in with some questions, including David Kennedy, who's a weekly follower, and he wanted to know, Matt, if you've been doing any iRacing to keep yourself sharp like so many other people are.
Yeah, no, I haven't. My internet at the house, we live kind of in the country. The internet's not very good. Anytime I try and play online video games, it kind of lags. And from what I've heard, the iRacing stuff doesn't like that. So haven't done any iRacing. Never tried it, actually. I got a PlayStation I play Formula One on, but other than that, that's about it.
Well, if you're looking for a tip on a show to watch on Netflix, I highly recommend Ozark. And I'm sure you've probably made your way through Tiger King, too.
Yeah, I've seen both of them. they're checked off the list. I'm working on Homeland right now. It's 7 I looked for as many seasons as I could find, and that one had 7. So I'm on season 2 right now.
I was going to say, no spoilers on Ozark. I'm only about halfway through season 3, so I don't want to know. But Matt, you know, you look back on that 2019 season you had, and I'm curious, all the races you won, championship, you know, the whole 9 yards. And I know it's early and there's, you know, you've got a long and full career ahead of you, but of the things you did last season in such a dream season, what do you anticipate being the lasting impression that you're going to have from 2019, from all the things that were fortunate to happen for you?
You know, the Super Dirt Series championship was probably the top of it. The 100 grand win race was pretty cool too. But Super Dirt Week, that race has always been on my bucket list. Grew up going there. Orange County, the 100 grand win race had the prestige and everything for the people that were from Orange County, but I wasn't lucky enough to grow up down there. And so it meant a lot to Jeff and Harry, and that was pretty cool. But the Super Dirt race probably hit home, or the Super Dirt Week race hit home a little more to me, just growing up going the mile.
You know, you mentioned the Orange County race. Yes, you didn't grow up going there and everything, but it's in essence the richest race that the big block modifieds and modified history have ever had. And to have your name on that trophy and be the one that won that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And that was what kicked everything off. You know, we won that big race, and that was what kind of gave me the confidence that we can win the big races. And that was really the start to it. So that one will always be remembered. That was our first huge race that we ever won. So I'm pretty happy to have my name on that trophy.
Yeah, and Matt, that was going to be my next question, was sort of, you know, the 2019 modified season was sort of a tale of, in a way, kind of 3 different years. I mean, Matt Shepard had his time, Eric Rudolph had a bit of a role, and then you really came into your own there in the midsummer. I was going to ask, you know, what was the point where you felt like you had kind of gotten over the tip of that iceberg and that, you know, a Super Dirt Series championship might actually be, you know, within your realm?
Yeah. When we went to Eldora on that swing, we thought we had a good car, but we left dejected. You know, we didn't win. We finished top 3 again, and we didn't think that we were at the point where we could bring ourselves over that hump to win races instead of finishing in the top 3. And it seemed like that was all we did at that time was put ourselves on the podium, but we were never the next level to win races. So we went home from that, and we tried some stuff at Maryville on Saturday night. You know, I'm fortunate to have some pretty good sponsors with that car, with S&W Service Center. Wayne Kahn's always on board with whatever we want to do. So I got to thank him for that. He stuck behind me when we wanted to try some stuff at Maryville, and we did. And we went down the next week to Orange County for the 100 grand win race and put 2 and 2 together. And that was kind of when we started rolling with it. You know, we were stuck in a box, and we didn't really want to change what we were doing too much because we were running top 3 everywhere we went. But to get out of that box and start winning races was tough, but it paid off in the end.
Well, Matt, you listed off the car owners that you have and the teams that you're associated with. Obviously, Coco out there, Ranceville Barons down in Orange County, Buzz 2, Old Forge, and your own team right there in St. Catharines. Different combinations, but the one consistent that you have is that it's all Bicknell chassis. So that's got to make the transition from race car to race car a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Every race car really is the same to me. Getting in it, you look at the inner panels, and that's really the only difference. They all drive the same. The motors are a little different. One has an ERD, one small block, one has a W16 small block. And then, you know, the 2 big block cars that Jeff and Buzz have, but then Jeff has some varying motors with the Short Track Super Series. He's got a 360 and a 430. So really the cars and shocks and springs and suspension wise, that's all the same car to car. So that makes it easy on my part. And we just try and make everything scale up the same. And when we go to the racetrack, they're all prepared the same. And that's pretty much it.
Well, Matt, you mentioned Merrittville Speedway, obviously. What's going to be some of your weekly type plans? Are they going to be pretty much the same once we get things rolling?
Yeah, I told the guys we were here. A couple of them come over just to work on the car and, you know, stay 6 feet away. We had beers together, but I told them the first racetrack that opens up, no matter where it is, we're going. So that's the plan now. I don't know whether it'll be Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, or Ontario, but we'll go. We're going to try and support the racetracks. They're in tough, just like the drivers and you guys are. Everybody relies on this as kind of an entertainment factor or an income. It's tough. So when we get kicked back up, we're going to try and hit as many races up as we can. But yeah, weekly we're going to race Merrittville on Saturdays, Rantsville Fridays, Short Track Super Series when they kick off, and the Super Dirt Series.
Well, Matt, we know you've got a lot of things to do, especially to watch Homeland and everything. We don't want to take up too much more of your time. So thank you very much for joining us here tonight on Off Track TV. Glad to see that you're safe. Wishing all the best to you and your family and everybody out there in St. Catharines. And please hurry up. Let's get this done so we can go racing. Look forward to seeing you at the track.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. Thanks for having me on. Like you said, just got to stay safe during these times and try and get through it all together.
Matt Williamson, driver of many modifieds in the Northeast and a very talented individual behind the wheel, the 2019 Big Block Modified Super Dirt Car Series champion here with us tonight. When we return, we are going to have our next special guest with us. He is a Vikings fan, but we won't hold that against him. Dean Reynolds will be up next here on Off Track TV.
Every race live. The greatest shows on dirt from coast to coast, and now worldwide for only $39 a month. Watch the World of Outlaws, NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Models, and the Dirt Cars Summer Nationals Hell Tour with one Fast Pass for only $39. Now, catch the greatest racing action down under with sprint cars, late models, and midgets from iconic Australian venues all year long. Live. Hundreds of races. One Fast Pass. $39 a month. DirtVision.com. Subscribe today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off Track TV, along with Dan Kapazinski. I'm Shane Andrews, and a big thanks to Matt Williamson for joining us. And this star-studded show continues on as we bring in our next guest. He is the director of Dirt Car Northeast Series and Sanctioning and vice president of the Empire Super Sprints, Mr. Dean Reynolds. And Dean, before we get things started, I've got to ask you, Are you more anxious to go racing or to have me pay my debt to you as your Vikings beat my Cowboys last year?
I am anxious, believe it or not, Shane, to go racing because we'll settle our debt down the road. So, and I think we can speak for everybody. Let's get to the racetracks as quick as we can and as safe as we can.
Yeah, no kidding, Dean. I'm with you there, man. You know, it feels like 100 years ago that you guys were down in Florida. It seemed like a pretty good week. Give us a little bit of a recap from your end as to how you felt your week went down at Volusia Speedway with the Super Dirt Car Series.
Well, my week actually started the week before, so I was there for all 12 nights. I was there to see the opening of the new grandstands and help out with the Up-Modifieds and the Outlaws wherever they could. And then to get all 5 nights in for the Super Dirt Car Series, I mean, that's, you know, we only look back, I think it only happened once where we got every single night in without getting a rain out. But we got some good races in. Everyone got home safe. We had good car counts. Larry White and Matt Williamson really stole the show with their wins. And but it was just nice to see racing. And then hopefully here soon we can do it here in New York and Canada.
Well, Dean, it's nice to see that you're safe. I know you're doing well as the Super Dirt Series team. We keep in constant conversation through communication with the team and everybody. And obviously this past week, we were supposed to have our lid lifter for 2020 up at the Can-Am Speedway, and everybody knows what's going on and knows that didn't happen. Well, what's going on with the Super Dirt Series right now? Let's give our audience a taste and a flavor. What can we expect from the Super Dirt Series coming up?
Well, yes, Can-Am was actually postponed because we are going to look for a makeup date for them. And then our next event is Memorial Weekend at Weedsport Speedway. And we're doing just like everybody else is. We're going to go one race at a time, see what the government officials are telling us what we need to do to stay safe and with the mass gatherings. I've been on the phone with a lot of the promoters, but it's not just the Super Dirt Car Series. I got 358 series that we lost at Fulton, Sportsman Series we lost at Fulton. So there's a lot of contacts going on throughout. And really, though, you just got to take it one race at a time, see the area where the tracks are running the race, because it could be a different state, it could be a different province, and go from there. And hopefully, we can get racing. But right now, nothing else has been canceled or postponed. But, we're going to start making decisions as we get closer.
I was going to say one thing that I've noticed, and at least looking into some of, you watch ESPN and what some of the other national sports scenes are doing right now, they're kind of planning provisions. They're planning ahead down the road as to what may be the course of action, kind of trying to anticipate it. Is that something that you're really able to do at all at this point, or are we still just kind of sitting back and waiting, being that we have a little more than a month to go, at least from the Super Dirt Car Series standpoint?
Well, I think with the bigger events, they're looking to go down the road because they need months to prepare. And they realize that if our, like Wimbledon, if it's not going to happen in June and we need 3 or 4 months to get it done, we have to cancel it anyway. With our events, and I think with any local track, really, you can go a couple weeks out, I think, and say, okay, we're racing. And I think, you can, with social media and everything else, you can get the word out as quick as you can. The racers are ready. They've all been in the garages. As Matt said earlier, he's running out of things to do. The cars are ready. So I think on a local standpoint for all of us, Oiswe needs a couple of weeks, and I think we can easily go racing.
Yeah, Dean, Jeff Esco chimes in with a question. He wants to know, who do you see having a breakout year this year with the Empire Super Sprints?
Well, that's interesting. Put the ESS hat on. Hold on. And, with an 18-year-old champion last year, that's going to be tough. You got Paulie Colgiovanni, Jason Barney, Matt Tanner, he's the next one to hopefully maybe get that title. But we got a lot of good young drivers in ESS. It's just, there's 5 or 6 guys that can win the title. And, hopefully we get to see some of the wings machines on the track as well.
You talk about all the hats there, Dean. You've got a lot going on. There's probably, maybe a few people tuned in that may not necessarily know your background. Essentially, get everybody up to speed on kind of the things that you've done to this point, and now all the hats you're wearing now.
Well, now, of course, I'm director of Dirt Car Northeast. I got the job September 2018, and every day I have to pinch myself because I'm very lucky that my full-time job is in auto racing, and I'm very thankful for that. But been in the racing game for 35 years, really since 1984, when I started writing for Auto Racer magazine and when I moved to Syracuse in 86. But I've been working for ESS since 92. Did their PR from 92 to 06 and then became the vice president. And wore a lot of hats. Helped out with the Go Nuclear late models for 2 years. I helped out Jeremy Corcoran doing his PR for his 2 shows here in Syracuse. Also write for Dirt Track Magazine, Dirt Track Digest. I'm sorry. So I like to do a lot of different things. So I evolved my life around racing. So here it is.
Dean, 35 plus years in motorsports. I've got a plethora of experience. Dan, you've got a wealth of knowledge and experience and a lifetime in motorsports. This week, we saw some unsettling news come out with one of the most popular drivers, if you will, on the NASCAR circuit, Kyle Larson, with some remarks that he made. And I know it's a touchy subject. I know it's something that we've all got to be cognizant of, but from a sanctioning and series of event portion, Dean, when you see something like that, what do you tell your team? What do you tell your drivers? What do you, especially in this world of social media, like we're on tonight? I mean, one little slip up and, a career can be made or gone.
It's the new age. And, and it's interesting you say that, Shane, because during our drivers' meetings, I actually mentioned social media. And, Ron White always had a saying in his comedy skits. Sometimes when you have a thought, you need to let it go. And that happens a lot here. And even with pro athletes, they'll put up a tweet and 2 minutes later, they'll take it down because they realize it's a mistake. And, you don't want to penalize or suspend or fine or whatever, but sometimes the incidents could really affect a lot of people. And as we saw with Kyle's situation, it did affect a lot of people and affected a race. So it's kind of a tough situation. Does he regret it? Absolutely. Did he mean it? Probably not. But he said it. And, the main thing is if you don't want to get put in that position, just don't say it. Just don't do it. Just don't hit send. And then you don't have to worry about it. Sometimes biting the tongue is the better thing to do.
Yeah, Dean, I think, the one big difference between today and 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago is, now we're always on. With social media, you're always representing the company that you work for, the race team that you race for, at any time. So everybody just has to be cognizant of that. And like you said, I think hopefully Kyle will learn from this. Hopefully everybody will learn from it and find ways to just be better people themselves and move on from this situation, hopefully into a better place.
Yeah, both of you. Don't even say it. Don't.
Yeah.
Well, that's a simple thing. I've had a lot of people ask me, and I just said the easiest way is just don't say it. And then you'll be okay.
Dean, before we let you go, let's talk about Dirt Car this year. Some new tracks, some new things happening. What's on the horizon? When we get out of this pandemic, I have a feeling that people are going to be itching, and the racetracks are going to be packed. What are we expecting to see?
Oh, God, I hope so for the promoter's sake. We did increase from 21 to 26 sanctioned tracks. Orange County with the big blocks is probably the biggest announcement we had. But then we also joined, oh, God, I'm going to forget somebody, Genesee, Glen Ridge. I got to think of two more here. Thanks, Shane. Put me on the spot. All the tracks that joined us. That's a tough part. We were so itching, and everyone was. We thought this was going to be a good year. Talking to the tracks, we had a lot of good things going. The off season was good for a lot of people. Car counts were up last year. Purses went up. Races went up. We were all ready to go. But you know what? We can still have that. Let's all hope that we do our job as citizens to try to slow this down as much as we can, and let's hope that we can still have a good year. Because remember, in the spring, it's always a crapshoot to get a race in anyways with the weather in April and May. So hopefully by June, maybe we all will be back to normal and we'll have a good year, and we can maybe sit back at that campfire next to each other, less than 6 feet with a beer in our hands and say, hey, you remember that pandemic? Boy, we survived that.
Oh, that would be fantastic. There's no doubt about that. Well, real quick, Dean, we had one question come in from Steve Petty. He was wondering, from a wish list perspective, if there was one track that the series does not already go to now, what would you like to see that track be? Kind of as a wish.
Oh, God, this is an easy one, Knoxville.
I had a feeling.
We've been to Eldora. We've been to a lot of great tracks. I've grew up a modified guy at Orange County, became a sprint car guy with ESS, but always been a modified guy. And I'll tell you what, I think those big blocks would shake that grandstand at Knoxville. I mean, they do literally shake the tower at Eldora. When the NASCAR truck officials heard those big blocks take the green for the first time and that tower shook, they literally stopped what they were doing and watched those cars go around the track. And I'll tell you what, I think they can do it in Knoxville too.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Dean. Knoxville was my answer to that question. I would love to see the big blocks go around that place, and then we can go have a beer at the Dingus.
Absolutely. My name's on the Dingus wall, too.
That doesn't surprise me. Dean, thanks for joining us tonight. Stay healthy. Great to see you, and look forward to seeing you here soon, hopefully, at the Super Dirt Car Series events.
Shane, Dan, thank you again. And don't worry, Shane, we'll be next to each other on the bar still getting that debt paid up.
Yeah, I owe more than a beer. Dean Reynolds, ladies and gentlemen, Dirt Car Northeast Series and Sanctioning Director and Vice President of the Empire Super Sprints. When we return here on Off Track TV, Dan and I will tackle a few more of your questions. Don't go anyplace. We'll be right back.
Weedsport Productions is the live video production company that you need at your next event. Our mobile production truck is outfitted with the most advanced broadcast equipment in the industry. Weedsport Productions covers racing, live sporting events, corporate events, and concerts. We can broadcast your event live, stream it to the internet, or produce an exciting in-venue experience for your audience. Visit weedsportproductions.com now to learn more.
Welcome back, everybody, to our final segment here on Off Track TV Live. Dan, well, we're doing our practicing, our distancing. We're making sure everybody's safe, happy, and healthy. But now's the time where we've got to take on some of the questions from our viewers and listeners. And Stephen Petty, you wanted to know, where would you like to see the Big Block Series? You didn't throw in an answer on that. Where would you like to see them?
I didn't. You know, I think Knoxville is obviously a fantastic question. For years, I would have said Oswego Speedway, but now we get to see that all the time. You know, I guess if I had to reach down into the bag of tricks of a dirt track that I've seen races at, the Super Dirt Car Series hasn't been to, and it's way too far of a travel, but I loved I-55 Raceway in Peevely, Missouri. That racetrack with the high banks just puts on fantastic racing no matter what you see. Big blocks rumbling around that track would be absolutely fantastic.
Non-racing question. Paul James chimes in, wants to know, what's the first thing you're going to do when this pandemic is over?
Invite every single person I know that wants to come have a beer and sit around my fire in the backyard, and we will be much closer than 6 feet apart. We love throwing parties out here, and that's my game plan.
I myself want to go back to one of my favorite restaurants. I want to go have a nice meal at my favorite restaurant and just have a nice drink and a meal out in public with with complete strangers. I don't need to know anybody. I just want to have that feeling again of being in a social environment to enjoy a nice meal and a night out.
Yeah, you know, Shane, it's crazy what you realize through all this, what you've kind of taken for granted, and having a simple meal like that out in public, like you said, and just sitting there and relaxing is something we've been able to do our whole lives. It's never been interrupted until this point. So I'm with you. That'll be at the top of my list also.
This is something that will really go down in the logs of history of remembering, like I remember when the space shuttle blew up. We all remember 9/11, obviously. Sure. Events in history that changed our lives, and this is something that is going to be considered in that realm. We know what this is about and what it's done and how it's changed the way that we have to do things. And if there's anything that we learn from it, I think it's going that we continue to practice some of these practices that we have, for lack of a better term.
Oh, I agree 100%. And, in my lifetime, most of the things we talk about have been sort of on a national scale, but this is absolutely global. There's no doubt about it. And we're all unified in the front that now we're all trying to work together to continue to flatten the curve, as they like to say. And it looks as though we're kind of on the other side of that now. So hopefully we can all stick to our guns and push through this.
Well, I'm glad to see that you and your family are safe and healthy, and I hope that everybody that's listening and tuning in here tonight for this edition of Off Track TV is safe and healthy as well. Dan, it's time. We've got to say goodbye and end another great show. Look forward to getting back on the show and back on the mics with you, my friend, real soon.
For sure, Shane. Be well, bud.
Thank you. Race fans, thanks for joining us here tonight. We'll be coming back at you again. Keep an eye on our Twitter feed. Of course, check us out on Facebook, and you can always find out more information at weedsportspeedway.com. For Dan Kapusinski and the entire Off Track TV crew, a big thanks to Brett Moses and Arth Rorick. My name is The Voice, Shane Andrews, saying thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you real soon at the races.